So our speaker today is Mary Szatcker, DTM. Mary has been in Toastmasters for 18 years and has achieved her DTM Distinguished Toastmasters not once but twice. In her Toastmasters journey, she was area director and division director. She was the youth leadership program coordinator for District 60 for 2 years. During that time, Mary had started over 60 YLP programs across the GTA in libraries and in various high schools. She also has been running this program at the North York Library for the past 16 years. She has gone beyond the program and created Level 1 beginners, Level 2 intermediate, and Level 3 advanced. She had students who wanted more out of the program and how to better their communication and leadership skills. Her greatest achievement and award is past and present students who came back to tell her that it was because of her guidance, mentoring, and that she cared. Today, Mary is still conducting the youth leadership program virtually, and 3 of her past students are acting as mentors for her students. Her students are all over Ontario, China, and in Europe. With a speech entitled, "The Youth of Today Are Leaders of Tomorrow," please help me welcome Mary Szatcker.
Thank you, everyone, for having me. As my introduction says, when I joined Toastmasters 18 years ago, and my mentor introduced me, which was a program called the Youth Leadership Program. I was enthralled by it. And after she completed her term at Riverdale Public Library, she says, "Why don't you take over the training session?" And I said, "Great." I started doing it, but I noticed that the 15 students that I had were leaving. So I asked one of my students and says, "Why are you leaving? Don't you want to stay behind and stay and do the training and learn how to do public speaking?" He says, "I find the program very boring." And to tell you the truth, I followed the program according to what's in the book. I had 25 students, and within 3 weeks, I was down to 10 students. So I said to him, "I'm going to stop. I'm going to redo this and call everybody back to come back in 2 weeks." And he said, "Okay, he'll make sure that everybody comes back." And as they say, history was made. Not only did I get 25 students back, and it was an 9-week program, the same 25 students came back the following session. They wanted to do more. And I said, "That's great." But the problem was I had a whole group of other students that wanted to come in. So what am I going to do? I've reviewed the program and I broke it in, as you heard, in Level 1 as beginners, Level 2 intermediate, and Level 3 advanced. And I have to say, my students stayed with me. And throughout the 18 years, I did the YLP, and I had over 150 students. And I still keep in contact to them to this day. And why? Somebody would say, "Why would you bother teaching kids, high school students especially? Don't you find them rude?" I said, "Nope." And what's unique about the program, sometimes I have mostly girls. There was one time I had all boys. I had 27 boys. Never happened before. And they made me laugh because dawned on me one day and I said, are you 27 related?" They were all related in one way or another. They were brothers, cousins, and friends related, and they all came from the same community. And we say, when you teach students or kids something, and if you as a teacher don't learn from them, then why are you teaching them? I learn from my students and they learn from me. And my biggest joy is these are kids that come. And I'm telling you, the students that come to learn about public speaking, they are taking the challenge of speaking in front of someone. Everybody's afraid to talk in front of someone or a group of people because you're afraid to make mistakes. What I instill in my students is Everyone is in the same boat as you. We're here to support you. And what I find, my students not only are supportive of each other, but they make a bond, they form a friendship. And throughout the years, these friendships have grown. I've had students who went on to York University and started their own Toastmasters club at York University, at UFT, and even in Waterloo. I have students that went on to other who are now adults, 25, 30 years old, and they come back and tell me, because of you, I was able to do this, I accomplished this, and this is what happened, and I'm doing this and this. And that's a feeling that you get in your here, that you feel that not only did you contribute to them, but you also helped them progress. And not just in the teaching this in the library, I also went out into different schools. And there was one particular school that I went to, it's on Lawrence and Bathurst area. Somebody said to me, why would you want to go teach there? All those kids are from low-class people. And when I said, what do you mean by low class? They are children who parents are immigrants. They came with their parents, and they came from different ethnic background. They come from Iran. They came from India. They came from Portugal. They came from all over. And because they're new Canadians and they're new immigrants, people look down on them. It didn't bother me. I went in, I felt everybody deserves a chance to learn. And I'm going to tell you something. I have 3 students who I have taught in a course of 3 to 4 years, that one of them is working in Ottawa for Justin Trudeau. He helps write Justin Trudeau's speech, and he is the son of an immigrant that came to Canada, and he was 10 years old when he came to Canada. That's something, accomplishment. That's why I said the young today are the voices, and they're going to be leaders of tomorrow. My other student that I taught, everybody said, don't even waste your time. He's a troublemaker. He doesn't know what he's doing. Guess what? He is also a part-time teacher, a professor at York University. And what does he teach? History. And I have another student also who's a fellow Toastmaster. And somebody said to me, don't you feel old when you see young people come into your group, and as students or as a Toastmaster? It doesn't matter to me, because you know why? I don't look at the age. I'm always young at heart, because I have young people to deal with at all times. These are the kids that I taught and I still teach today. And when I say I teach, when I was in District 60, and I was the youth leader coordinator for District 60, I looked around and saw that nobody was doing the youth leadership program. And look at all the libraries and schools that are around that can provide this program, and you can go in and teach the students. So I did a campaign, and I was coordinator for 2 years in a row. I started over 60 youth leadership programs in different high schools and various libraries. While I was teaching in one of the high schools, one of my students came to me and said, I'm a little bit concerned because I have to go for a job interview, and this is my second interview. And what bothers me is I don't get the job, but I know I can do it. So I said, let me see your resume. I looked at his resume and I said to him, I would never hire you if this is the resume you present to me. We have to fix it up. So I was teaching him how to do his resume. And then I said to him, what kind of questions do they ask you in your interviews? So he told me, and I said, were you able to answer them? He says, not really. They were basic questions that you're asked. For instance, if you go for a job interview and your prospective employer says to me, Give me 3 reasons why I should hire you. What makes you better than special or better than the next person? And if you sit there and you go, oh, well, because I'm good at what I do, they're not going to hire you. So I had to train them on how to do a job interview and also how to dress for a job interview. Don't go in your t-shirt that says Black Sabbath or something. You wear a shirt, a nice dress shirt, nice pants. And if you can't wear dress shoes, make sure your running shoes are clean. Go to Walmart and buy a pair of black ones and use it for the interview. And make sure you look proper. Sure enough, he went for his interview. He did well. And he was called back for a second interview and he got hired. Did you know today this young man is 28 years old, and you know what he does today? He has been to China, he has been to Chile, he has been to Ecuador. He teaches English. That's one of my students. I'm very proud of him. And then I went to the, when I was in the high school, I went to the counselor and said, don't you people teach your high school students public speaking and how to do job interviews and that? And she said, not really, it's not part of the curriculum. Meanwhile, kids are at 16, 17 going for jobs and they never been on job interviews. They don't know how to do things. They don't know how to talk. They don't know how do I say, perform. That's when I decided, you know what? I'm going to take it a step further. I'm going to show them how to do a proper resume and how to do a job interview and what is expected of them. And through that, I wind up being at 2 schools. They actually asked me to come back and they paid me to do this for the students and how to do job interviews and how to do resumes. Right now, because of the pandemic, through word of mouth and through the community that I live in, I now teach the youth leadership like this on Zoom, but all of a sudden I find out I have students in China, I have students in different parts of Europe. Some are in France, some are in Germany. One is from Spain, I believe, and 2 or 3 are in Italy. When we start the meeting, I have to say good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. And I think it's the greatest thing ever that you can sit in a room and look at people, and you have people from all walks of lives coming in to learn how to do public speaking. And this is what I find very amusing in different schools, that they don't teach this to students. And what is the most important thing that we have is communication, how to communicate properly, how to perform properly. When a student, like last week in one of my sessions, a student had to do a presentation and she didn't know how to do it properly. So I asked her to present her presentation during the course, which she did. And when she finished, myself and the other students gave her tips on how to do it better. I got an email from her. She says that she scored almost 90% in her presentation that she gave in her class. And she's so happy that she was able to do that. And she did it through our suggestion and our help. She presented that presentation 2 times to us until she was comfortable in doing it. I know when I'm at work, when in my job, I had to do a lot of, workshops and training. That's how I got into Toastmasters. Through someone said, you're not very good at doing, you know the work, my manager says, you know the stuff, but you don't know how to communicate it properly. I suggest maybe you should join Toastmasters. So I did. And when I was able to when I joined Toastmasters and I did my next presentation or workshop, there was a 50-degree change. I did perfect, almost. People saw the difference in what I was doing and how I presented. I didn't get, oh, Mary's coming to do a presentation, she's boring. The people that came in to do the workshop were more receptive in how I did it. That's what I try to do with my students. When you do a presentation, or when you do a speech, or anything you do it in such a way that people are focused on you and people pay attention to how you do it. And this is one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about this youth leadership program, because you engage with younger people. Most of my students are from grade 9 to grade 12, and they want to know how to do things properly. They are willing to learn how to do things the way you're supposed to do it. And they want to improve their communication skills, and they also want to improve their leadership skills. Because in the program that I teach them, I not only teach them how to communicate, but also how to use body language, facial expressions, and vocal variety, and gestures in their speeches and in their presentations, and how to engage the audience when they're doing all this. And also, they are focused on leadership skills. Like, for instance, I'm going to say, Elizabeth, next week you're the Toastmaster. You are in charge of the meeting, and your responsibility now is to make sure everybody knows their roles, everybody fulfills their roles, and you make sure that the rest of us have the agenda up and ready way before the meeting starts, and you have all your I's dotted, your T's crossed, and you have to prepare that. And they do it their way, but they are ready. They start the meeting and they take it over, and they're very professional in how they do it. Because I always tell them, depends on where you're going to work. Because one day your boss is going to come up to you and say, Amanda, I need you to do this presentation, and can you do it tomorrow? Are you going to say, well, no, I'm not ready? You know the work, so now you have to do this presentation. You're going to be prepared, you know how to do it, and all you have to do is make sure you have everything in a row and how to do your presentation. This is what I teach my students. And when they go to school and they have to do a presentation in school, they are able to do it. And I have had teachers who have contacted me and say, I see a huge improvement in Daniel. He would never, ever come in front of a classroom and talk. If he talked, he always talked with his head facing the floor, and he talked to his shoes. He wouldn't look at anybody. And the last presentation he did, he was totally engaged in it, and he was very animated in how he did it and that, and everybody was surprised by it. And it's because of what you have taught him. When I asked him, how did you do this? What lesson did you took? Oh, I joined the Toastmasters group at the library, and I've been going for it for the last 2 to 3 years. And then in level 1, I told the teacher, I teach them the basics, how to do a speech, how to perform, and how to write it. And then we do impromptu speaking. And then we do, friendly evaluation. I'll tell you what you did good and how to improve it. They learn all these basics all the way through. In level 2, they are more advanced. They have to take over a meeting. They have to use their leadership skills. Then they have to do presentations. I push them to do a little bit more and go more advanced in their program, and also do many workshops. In level 3, right away, they take over the meeting. I tell them, I say, Amanda, next week you're going to run the show, and this is what is going to take place. This is what you have to do. Amanda prepares everything, and then gets ready to present everything, and does the role that she's been assigned to. and has all her team beside her helping her doing it. And also you have to learn how to run a speech contest and how to conduct it and take part in a speech contest. And in the end, if you did everything, you get your certificates. The last and final one that I noticed that everyone always fights for and want to achieve it is the honorary Toastmaster certificate. And what is that? That means you, just like me, you reach the highest award in Toastmaster, which is your Distinguished Toastmaster Award, and they get their so-called honorary Toastmaster. And a lot of my students who I have worked with and have taken my program have actually gone on to themselves, when they turn 18, joined a Toastmasters club at the university or their workplace, wherever they are. They always take part in Toastmasters. And right now I'm in the process of starting a Toastmaster, our youth leadership program, believe it or not, in January in Japan. And I'm really excited about this. So this is why I say Zoom is something great, because you can go anywhere in the country, in the world with Zoom, and you meet all kinds of people. My students are international, and all the students here, they all coordinate. And I love to see them when they go into the chat box and how they chat with each other and they make connections. They find out certain things just because someone is by the name of Muhammad and you are named Bruce, and kids are kids, no matter who you are. They find out they like certain things, they connect, and next thing you know, they're connecting with each other on various things, on books, on games, even topics in school. They are coordinated with each other and they're doing things together, and that you're building international friendship. This is why I always say that if you don't pay attention to the young of today, what kind of leader are we going to have tomorrow?